Sydney is finally getting the transport upgrade it desperately needs with the new Sydney Metro Fast Underground Rail network. This upgrade includes not only new trains, but also additional station locations, promising significantly reduced travel times across the city. This week marks a significant milestone as all 45 Metro trains in the current fleet have completed at least one journey between Tallawong and Sydenham, which, in case you didn't know, is crazy fast. We are committed to releasing 2 videos a week. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more visionary builds. The Sydney Metro, located in New South Wales, Australia, is a state-of-the-art, fully automated rapid transit system. It began operations with its first segment, the Metro Northwest line, on May 26, 2019. This line stretches from Tallawong to Chatswood and includes 13 stations along a 36-kilometer route, primarily underground. Currently, there is a significant progress on the extension of this line from Chatswood to Bankstown. This extension is part of the City and Southwest project, which involves tunneling under Sydney Harbour and through the city's Central Business District, or CBD. Slated for completion in 2025, the extended line will cover a total of 66 kilometers and include 31 stations. In addition to the Metro Northwest line, 2 other lines are under construction. The Western Sydney Airport project is building a line that'll run from St. Mary's to the new Aerotopolis station in Badgerys Creek, spanning 23 kilometers with 6 stations. This line will serve Western Sydney International, Nancy Bird Walton Airport, set to open in 2026. The Sydney Metro West project will connect Westmead to a new station in Hunter Street in the Sydney CBD. Covering about 24 kilometers, this underground line will include 9 stations and is expected to start serving areas like Parramatta and Sydney Olympic Park by 2032. The Metro Northwest line stands out as Australia's first fully automated heavy rail system. Managed by Sydney Metro Agency under Transport for NSW, the service is operated by Metro Trains Sydney and integrates seamlessly with the Sydney Trains network. This integration ensures a smooth and efficient transit experience for all passengers. The initial concept for a metro system in Sydney emerged in 2001 when Ron Christie, the Coordinator General of Rail, introduced his long-term strategic plan for rail. This report proposed the future construction of metro lines independent from the existing network to address anticipated capacity issues post-2020. However, the New South Wales government initially dismissed these ideas as merely a preliminary list of possible projects. The concept of a new metro system re-emerged in late 2007 when the New South Wales government deliberated over an underground Anzac line, which was envisioned to run from West Ryde in Sydney's northwest to Malabar in the southeast. Despite these discussions, the project never materialized. In early 2008, following the abandonment of various projects under the 2005 Metropolitan Railway Expansion Program (MREP), the government announced the Northwest Metro. Planned as a 37-kilometer line from Rouse Hill to Sydney CBD, the project carried an estimated cost of $12 billion. Construction was scheduled to begin in 2010 and conclude by 2017. On 15 May 2005, just before his resignation, Premier Bob Carr had announced the MREP, which included the Northwest Rail Link from Cheltenham to Rouse Hill, a Southwest line from Glenfield to Leppington, and a CBD rail link from Redfern to Chatswood. The entire program was projected to cost about $8 billion, with $5 billion allocated for a new tunnel under the Sydney Harbour Bridge in the Sydney CBD. The MREP aimed to enhance connectivity for the growing suburbs, but it faced criticism for perceived lack of implementation, particularly highlighted by the truncation of the planned Parramatta to Chatswood rail link. In 2006, under Premier Maurice Yema, planning controls were established along 2 potential metro routes in the CBD, known as Metro West and Metro Pit, to safeguard future development options. These controls required developers planning to dig deeper than 2 meters within a 25-meter buffer zone around the corridors to obtain approval from RailCorp. The Northwest Metro's construction was initially tied to the privatization of the electricity network. However, a change in leadership in late 2008 led to the project's cancellation due to budget constraints. In its place, the government introduced the CBD Metro, a shorter 9-kilometer route with a $4 billion budget. Starting from Rozelle in the inner west and extending to the Central Railway Station through the CBD, construction was slated to commence in 2010 and conclude in 2015. This metro was envisioned as the core of a future expansive network, with a plan for a West Metro extension to Westmead and Parramatta, contingent on securing federal funding. The proposal received mixed reactions. Opposition leader Barry O'Farrell criticized the Premier for apparent improvisation, pointing out that cost details were released post-announcement. The Greens also voiced concerns, suggesting the route was strategically planned to pass through electorally sensitive areas. The government's initial funding request to Infrastructure Australia was denied because of lack of integrated planning. Subsequent revelations showed a cost escalation from $4 billion to $5.3 billion in just 3 months, and internal estimates indicated that the metro would operate at only 15% of its full capacity. In early 2010, the project was scrapped following the Premier's ousting in 2009. By then, the government had already spent nearly $410 million on the initiative. The new Premier, Christina Kennelly, shifted focus back to expanding the existing heavy rail network, prioritizing the Northwest Rail Link and Southwest Rail Link. In 2012, the newly elected coalition government unveiled Sydney's rail future and the NSW Transport Master Plan. These plans included building the Northwest Rail Link as a single-deck, privately owned, operated metro that would eventually connect to a second harbor crossing. Critics raised concerns about this approach, arguing that the single-deck trains might lack the capacity of the existing double-deck trains and pointing out compatibility issues with trains from the existing network using the new crossing. Subsequently, the project scope expanded and it was renamed Sydney Metro. In 2014, as part of the Rebuilding NSW Infrastructure initiative funded by the Sale of Electricity Infrastructure, the government announced the second harbor crossing, dubbed Sydney Rapid Transit. This new railway would traverse Sydney Harbour, tunnel beneath the CBD, and extend into a modified segment of the Bankstown line to the Bankstown Railway Station. By 2015, with the passage of power privatization bills, the system was officially designated as Sydney Metro. Despite opposition warnings that the proceeds from the power infrastructure sale might not cover all the required capital, the project moved forward. In July 2018, the Sydney Metro entity was established as a statutory authority, charged with overseeing the metro's development. As of March 2021, Peter Regan leads the agency as the chief executive. Significant developments continued into 2023. In January, it was announced that emergency exits in the tunnels of the Metro West and Metro Western Sydney airport lines would be spaced at approximately 240 meters, aligning with the setup of existing lines. During the 2023 state election campaign, Premier Dominic Perrottet announced plans to draft business cases for extending the Sydney Metro network by an additional 100 kilometers. Proposed extensions included routes from Tallawong to St. Mary's, Westmead to Aerotropolis, Bankstown to Glenfield via Liverpool, and MacArthur to Aerotropolis. These expansions aim to further integrate Sydney's growing regions into the metro network, enhancing connectivity and transportation efficiency across the city. Sydney Metro, operated by Metro Trains Sydney, a collaboration among MTR Corporation, John Holland Group, and UGL Rail, runs under a 15-year contract. The network is distinguished by its full automation at the Grade of Automation 4 GOA 4 level and employs communications-based train control (CBTC) signaling across the system. Network overview. The primary line, the Metro Northwest line, connects Tallawong to Chatswood. It features 13 stations along a 36-kilometer route. Since July 2019, the line operates with a travel time of 37 minutes end-to-end. During peak hours, trains run every 4 minutes and every 10 minutes during off-peak times. Initially, frequency was set at every 5 minutes during peak hours right after its opening in May 2019, but soon adjusted to the current interval. For the first 6 months post-launch, Metro Trains Sydney supplemented late-night services from Sunday to Wednesday with rail replacement buses. Capacity and development. The network uses platform screen doors to enhance safety across all stations. Initially, the line employed 6 car trains running at 4-minute intervals. The future extension of Bankstown under Stage 2 will allow for 8 car trains and a 2-minute headway between trains, aiming to meet higher passenger demand. This setup could accommodate up to 46,170 passengers per hour per direction. Rolling stock. The Sydney Metro uses 22 sets of 6-car Metropolis stock trains, fully automated and electric. These single-deck trains include 2 dedicated spaces per train for prams, luggage, and bicycles, and feature 3 doors per side per carriage with an open layout between carriages. Each train has a seating capacity of 378 and can accommodate a total of 1,100 passengers. The seating is arranged longitudinally, typical of Metro trains, and they operate using Alstom's Urbalis 400 signaling system. Before commencing operations, a full-scale model of the new train was displayed publicly, including at the annual Sydney Royal Easter Show. The trains were manufactured at Alstom's facility in India, with the first train arriving in Rouse Hill in September 2017 for testing. This phase included tests on brakes, passenger information displays, and door operations. Ticketing system. Sydney Metro integrates the Opal card system, which is also used across the Sydney Trains network and NSW TrainLink intercity services. The fare system calculates trips involving different modes as a single fare without interchange penalties. Opal cards are valid on Metro, bus, ferry, and light rail services, though fares for each mode are separate. Sydney Metro also offers a free school Opal card for students traveling to and from schools. Sydney Metro, set to open in mid-2024, represents a significant advancement in Sydney's public transportation infrastructure, promising efficient travel across multiple regions with its extensive network expansions and new lines. The Sydney Metro Northwest, for instance, has its northern terminus at Tallawong Station and links to Rouse Hill to Epping with 8 new stations. This new line includes a continuation through the converted Epping to Chatswood rail link, allowing interchange with Sydney chains at Epping and Chatswood. It was recognized with NSW Premier's Award in 2016 for the construction of twin tunnels from Bella Vista to Epping, Australia's longest at the time. The Sydney Metro City and Southwest extends from Chatswood to Bankstown via a new harbour crossing and Central Station. Part of the existing Bankstown line will be modified for driverless trains. This extension is expected to increase the Sydney rail network's capacity by up to 60%, facilitating the movement of over 100,000 extra commuters an hour. The completion of this line is targeted for 2024, with the Bankstown conversion following in 2025. Meanwhile, Sydney Metro West, which connects the Sydney CBD to Westmead, has confirmed stations in Parramatta and Sydney Olympic Park. The 2019-2020 state budget allocated $6.4 billion, with construction fast-tracked to start in 2020 and projected completion by 2032. Sydney Metro Western Sydney Airport runs from St. Mary's to Badgerys Creek, Aerotropolis via the Western Sydney Airport. This line is supported by both federal and state contributions, totaling more than $5.5 billion, and is scheduled for completion in 2026 to coincide with the airport opening. There are also proposals for future extensions, such as extending the Northwest line to St. Mary's, connecting to the Western Sydney Airport line, and planning the City and Southwest line to extend from Bankstown to Glenfield via Liverpool, and potentially further to Aerotropolis. New projects envision a metro line from the CBD to the southeastern suburbs, including Radnwick, Marlborough, and Kogarah by 2056. Commuting times are set to improve significantly with the new metro, with estimated times such as Castle Hill to Martin Place in 35 minutes, Macquarie University to Central in 26 minutes, Chatswood to Gadigal in 13 minutes, and North Sydney to Barangaroo in just 3 minutes. This project aims to transform Sydney's urban mobility, providing rapid transit options across key districts, significantly enhancing daily commutes and supporting the region's growth. This ambitious development will offer residents quicker, more efficient travel options and potentially boost economic activities along its routes. We're committed to releasing 2 videos a week. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more visionary builds.